Hi guys. Hi guys, Wendy here with Artfully Created. I wanted to try to do a short blog. And if you know me, I kind of ramble and go on and on and on. And I have some news. And because I haven't been able to make it as an artist, I gave it everything I had for 2 years. And struggled and suffered with no money and no food, and so I started to look for a part-time job, and I looked and my quest for looking for a job started about 3-4 years ago when I was living in my apartment in Newbury Park, and my online business suddenly took a nosedive and I had no idea what was going on. And so I got on Craigslist and started looking, applied for a couple of jobs, and I had an interview in Westlake Village, and it was sort of a receptionist slash cleaning job, I think. It was a dental lab, and I'm not exactly sure what they did. I don't know if it was like a reconstruction of people's teeth. I don't know if it was like dentures. But once I was in the interview, the dentist was saying, well, you're going to be responsible for cleaning and making sure the bathroom was clean and orderly, and because it was the only sink. So, and she advised me that there might be blood, and would I have a problem with that? Of course, I'm lying. No, I'm not going to have a problem with that because you needed a job. But in all actuality, bodily fluids just freak me out. I would not make a good medical examiner or a mortician. And I left the job. I'm driving down the freeway, and I had a complete meltdown. I mean, I was hyperventilating. I was going into having an anxiety attack. So I pulled off the freeway, pulled onto a side street or wherever I could. I don't even know if it was the side of the freeway. I called my mom, and I was just crying hysterically. I could not stop. And she said, don't worry about it. Move back in with me. And so that's the reason why I moved back to Ventura to live with my mom. And my brother stepped up and was helping me. And I tried, really hard to get some assistance, but I couldn't get any assistance. And so I decided to go back to school because I figured, my skills were outdated, and that's when I went back to school. So in the midst of going back to school, my brother was having a struggle with his finances and came to the point where he was going to be laying off 2 people. And so I said, well, I'm a lot better. I can probably go out and get a job, take some of the pressure off him. So I started looking for a part-time job. Every single part-time job required one to be bilingual, and I'm not bilingual. And I was talking to my mom. I said, for me to take Spanish at this point in time, it would take me a good 10 years to become fluent. And I said, it's just not going to happen. And so I had decided that I was going to move to San Diego, where my brother is, and try to get a job there. One of my besties moved there the year prior, and she said, you don't need to be bilingual to live in San Diego. Even though it's closer to the border, she said, mostly, it's English speaking. And so this was early February. I started looking for a full-time job still, or started taking my job search from part-time to full-time, and saw this one ad and it kind of resonated with me. It was, I don't think it had the name of the business, but it said customer service. I thought, maybe I'm going to stay away from the medical billing because I can't, every medical billing job required to be bilingual. So I thought customer service, and I had to do an online test, which it showed me the results right away. So I got 91%. Then I got an email from the facility and said they would like to move forward and start an informal online interview. Well, I didn't get that done, or they had closed and found the candidates they were looking for, and the recruiter said that they would be opening up a second batch of interviews late March, early April, or late February, early March. Yeah, I think it was late February, early March, and to contact her again. So I did. And they got me in with a group interview early February. No, we're early March now. And it was nerve-wracking to be in an interview with 3 people from this office and 3 other candidates. And one guy dominated the whole interview, talking and rambling about his, his career and how he got to meet B.B. King. And I'm like, oh, so over this dude. And finally I kind of inserted my mouth and foot and said, look, I'm going to have some say here too. And so I interrupted him and went on, and I said, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I needed to get in what I needed to say before, because they were wrapping up the interview. And that was on a Tuesday. That Friday, they had ended the interviewing saying, well, if you receive an email from us, please know that we appreciate your time, but we have selected other candidates. And if you receive a phone call, that means we want to bring you in for a second interview. So I kept thinking from Tuesday till Friday, they're going to call me, they're going to call me, they're going to call me. And sure enough, they called me Friday, and I was so relieved. So then I scheduled my second interview, and it was a gentleman from back east. I don't know if he came from the exact corporate office or another branch of this place. And of course, I'm in my black corporate suit, hottest day in Ventura. I'm sweating bullets, which made me even more nervous. Get into this little conference room, and there's no air. And he said this is going to be a very formal interview where I ask you specific questions, and I write down what you say. There will be a math problem you need to solve, and a role playing that we will do. So my heart's beating and beating, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what next? So he's like asking me the questions, and he says, okay, let's do the math problem. And there was a calculator, but I didn't know how to use that calculator, so I was trying to figure it out really quickly, and I just could not figure out the math problem. Even though it was easy, you just put a math problem on me, spur of the moment, and I just completely flip out. So I handed him the piece of paper with the math problem, and he's like, oh, just move the decimal over 2 places, because if you have to remember, if you're going from a percentage to a decimal, you have to move the decimal over, which, having just finished my math class, I should have known that, but the pressure, made my brain just freeze. So I moved the decimal point over, and it seemed to be fine. So then we did a role playing, and thank God for my coaching skills, because if I did not go through all the coaching programs I had gone through, I probably would not have done well in the role playing. And so he once again said, we will contact you, email for those candidates that we're not going to select, and then a phone call for those who we're going to offer the job to. So as I was leaving and shaking his hand, I said, well, I look forward to receiving a phone call from you. Not that he was going to personally call me. Someone from would have. And all Friday, it's like, I have to get out of the house. I was just going nuts, waiting around. And so I went out shopping a little bit, mostly window shopping, and got home around 3 and looked at my phone. There was nothing. No email, no phone call. And so I was like, well, maybe I misunderstood. Maybe it was the following Friday. So I'm like, okay, just relax. Just stop thinking about it. Because the more you think about something, the worse it gets, right? So I set up my little laptop computer to turn on YouTube just to get my mind off. And I started coloring, and it's 7:30 and my cell phone rings, and it's an Oxnard number where this new business is going to be, which is right next door to Ventura. So I'm like, this is Wendy, try to be in pretty happy mood, but not where you can tell the stress in my voice. And it was one of the girls from that first interview when there were 3 people from the corporate office. And she says, I bet you were just getting all stressed out that you hadn't heard from us. And so she really broke the ice. I'm like, yeah, I thought maybe I misunderstood you. And it was the following Friday. And she says it was just a madhouse. And finally someone at corporate said, go call the girl, get her out of her misery. Which is funny that they actually understood, the not so fun waiting game and what one goes through. So they offered me the job, and I just felt giggly, and I felt, the hairs on my arms were standing up. And so I ran downstairs. I'm like, okay, Mom, I got the job. She's like, yes. And then Monday, I got a corporate email with all the tax papers and things, and they had to do, we had to approve the background check, and then after you approve the background check, they sent you an email to do the drug testing. And that was interesting because I'd never gone through a drug testing screening before for a job. And that was my whole reason when I left LA. I said I would never put myself in that situation where they wouldn't take me at my word when I said I'm not a drug addict. How things have changed when you're in desperation of money. So that was March 18th that they offered me the job, and the job actually starts on April 18th. So I've had a whole month to just relax and to chill, and I took a formal leave of absence from school, and it took me 2 weeks to just unwind and de-stress from school. And I slept most of the day. I couldn't believe how stressed out I was from school. And so next Monday, not tomorrow, but the following Monday, the 18th, is my first day. And they said the first batch, they recruited 30 people, and they said they were looking for 30 more in the second batch, which is I'm in the second batch. So, and there's 5 weeks of training. Now the first batch had to go train somewhere else. I don't know if it was in a different state or if there was something in San Diego, because the recruiter had a San Diego number, so I suspect they had to go to San Diego to train. But we're having a new building put together, so they said, the offices will be opened at that time. So we'll be training in Oxnard for 5 weeks where there's testing, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't get away from testing. And so I just am have to figure, just do the best you can. That's all you can do. There's no use in stressing out about it, and hopefully they don't just fire you after, the test, if you've not done as well on the test that you have on the regular stuff. And so all I can do is my best, so that's how I'm going to go about it. And since I was able to pass college math, which was harder than hard, I figured anything else would be a piece of cake. So I am going to be going back into the corporate world. Now, I've been out of my last work for wages job was 10 years ago. I think I resigned in 2006. And I left Los Angeles in 1994, which was 22 years ago. So really, I consider Los Angeles my last corporate gig, because there was a corporate body that oversaw our office, and we were part of Century City Hospital, and there were CFOs and CEOs and presidents and vice presidents, so I consider that a corporate job. And when I left there, I never thought I would go back. Yet here I am, 22 years later, I'm going back. And after I found out I had the job, my mom and I were talking, and she says, well, it's probably good, because my mom says, you're not a spring chicken anymore, and you have to start thinking about your retirement, which is true. This year I turned 50, and because I took the 2 years off to work on my art, to try to see if I can make it as an artist, I went through my savings and I have nothing left. So it's gotten to a desperate situation. So this will be good. I'm expecting it to work out. I don't see how it should not work out. So yeah, I'm going back into the corporate world, and I start on April 18th, so I'm hoping, and then I have 1 more month left of my leave from school, and I go back during the 5th week of training for this job, so I won't actually know what it's going to be like on the job while just, training. I don't know if we'll give you any kind of indication or not. And right now I'm thinking, I don't know that I want to go back to school. I could take one class to see how stressed I get, or because I really want to give everything I can to this job. I have to make it work. There is no turning back. And so this is it. Yeah. So I don't know how much time I will have to do my art or to do videos. In this moment of time, I'm still a Stamp It Up demonstrator, but I don't know that I'll be able to keep up with, the blog or the videos or the promoting it, networking. I'm still doing it right now, and I will take customers and sign-ups. But yeah, I am starting another chapter, and I'm looking forward to going back to work. And I thank all of you for following me, and stay with me, because I'm hoping I can still do something that will keep you updated. Or I know this position works 6 days a week. It's Saturday, so they said you will have to work some Saturdays. Every 3 months they change the schedule, so I know that whatever schedule I have, it will change in 3 months. So I don't know that I would have 2 days off consecutively, but you know, I'm just going to remain open, and if if I feel like I can continue a school, I will. If not, then I'm just going to be real honest and say, you know, I need to keep this job, and that's what's important. And if anything happens, I could always go back. So just wanted to give you a heads up. I know it's a long video again, and probably why I chose customer service. You know, you're going to be yapping all day long. So probably not the best of circumstances, because it's a, what do they call the position? Consumer consultant. I'm a consumer consultant. So it's Frontier Communications, and they've been buying off Verizon, and it's a lot of rural areas, and it's, you know, not going to be happy customers all the time. So I think I have what it takes to do the job and do it well. And I even told him that there would be a chance that I would like to move up, see how far I can go. And who knows? I'm just going to remain open and flexible and just enjoy this next part of my life. So thanks for being with me. Thanks for following me. Thanks for comments. Thanks for supporting me. I would love for you to stick with me on this new journey. And I'm hoping I can still do this on my days off. If not, I wish you luck in whatever you do and pursue. And I truly am blessed that I have this job and that I have friends and supporters out there who care what happens. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your weekend. And I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.